So it's ham season. I'll be the first to admit I love the authentic honey baked ham, but it's really expensive, almost $100 for one of those. The good news for you is I'm going to show you how to do it with a grocery store version for half the cost. That's right, we're gonna smoke a pre-cooked ham from the grocery store. I'm gonna do it in my vertical smoker today, but you could do this in a pellet smoker, pellet grill, Weber kettle. The point is, I want you to have a great tasting ham this holiday, and we're gonna do it here. So what I like to do, for those of you who are interested in a stick burner, I spend a good deal of time, maybe about an hour prior to the cook, building up a bed of coals. The way I do that is kind of with a log cabin structure here. So I'm gonna burn down this wood to coals, which will take about an hour. Then as we start to get closer to the cook, I'm gonna start putting on bigger pieces. These are big, dense pieces of wood that are going to burn slowly. And these happen to be the pieces that have the most sugars, which puts the best flavor into your barbecue. So what I do is I let it burn, and we're gonna let it go until there's no more dirty smoke. So if you look at this right now, that's a ton of white smoke. You do not wanna cook with that kind of smoke. When the smoke's coming out, it should almost be invisible. That's what you want to see. And then once I get the temperature dialed down, I'll start adding about one split every half hour. And we're gonna be smoking at 225 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. The ham is already pre-cooked, so what we need to do is reheat it slowly so that it takes on more smoke flavor. If we were to cook at a higher temperature, it would cook quicker, giving it less total time in the smoke. So while the pit's coming up to temp, let's take a look at this ham. This is your typical grocery store spiral sliced ham. I actually do prefer the spiral slice. It's easier to serve, and as this thing heats up, those slices are gonna open up and allow us to get our honey glaze in there. This one is 13.5 pounds, and it cost $47. So it's a big ham, and right off the rip, we're saving 40, 50 bucks compared to getting an actual honey baked ham. That money you can use to put more sides, more stuff on the table to eat, which I love. And once you get out of the package, it's gonna have a little bit of a sliminess to it, which I like, because that's gonna help our barbecue rub stick. Use your favorites. I'll just caution you, these hams, if you haven't done one before, they're already salty. So pick a rub where the first ingredient isn't salt. I'm looking for something for a little bit of a heat. I'm not too worried about sugar because we're gonna have that honey glaze a little bit later. And I'm gonna go very light. So we're gonna add a little bit of heat and a little bit of color to this ham by way of the paprika that's in there. And I'll go ahead and get it all around. All right, so we're rated about 225. It'll bump up a little bit, maybe closer to 250. So let's go ahead and get this ham in the smoker. And first things first, I'm gonna pull out this bottom rack. So for those of you who know me, I love using a water pan in my smoker. If you're using your vertical smoker, this is a good time to fill up your pan. I've got some orange juice I gotta get rid of from the refrigerator. Pour a little bit of that in there. That citrus flavor is gonna infuse itself into the ham. Put some water now, just some warm water. And then I've got some whole cloves. We're gonna put these in. I'm not counting. And as this starts to steam away, it's gonna infuse that awesome clove flavor into it. This is, in my opinion, better than having to put them in to the ham and then pulling them all out. If you're using your pellet smoker, especially a vertical smoker, be careful. You do not want those to burn when that water dries up. So keep an eye on it. Make sure you keep a little bit of water in there at all times. And for those of you considering getting an offset vertical like I have, the way the heat kind of circulates in here, this back left corner gets really hot, maybe 50, 60 degrees hotter than the rest. So having this in the back left corner kind of acts as a diffuser and balances out the smoker almost perfectly, front to back, side to side. So I get this in all the way in the back. And now for the ham, I'm gonna go up on my 4th rack position. Keep it away from that direct heat as much as possible. All right, so now the door gets closed, and we're gonna let this go for about an hour and a half or 2 hours before I even look at it. I'm just gonna maintain that 225. And then when I come back, we might start to put the glaze on it. I'm waiting for the ham to open up. Those slices should open up a little bit. Then we can start to brush on the glaze. And while the ham is taking on smoke, I want to show you guys one of my favorite smoked side dishes. It's smoked carrots. This recipe is adapted from John Currance's cookbook called Pickles, Pigs, and Whiskey. This is a top-notch recipe. And what it is, 1 bag or 2 pounds of carrots that I've peeled, and then I cut the ends off. And we're gonna soften these carrots up with a braising liquid here. So 6 quarts of water, 6 tablespoons of salt, 1 cup of dry vermouth, 2 bay leaves, 1 tablespoon of whole cracked peppercorns, 1 medium shallot sliced, 4 cloves of garlic sliced, and then put the carrots in. And we want to let these simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. You don't want them to get fork tender. You want to take them just before that point. So if you put a fork in, there should be a little bit of resistance to it. Then you're going to put them in an ice bath to stop them from cooking. And then we can put them straight in the smoker and put them underneath the ham so that all those drippings from the ham come down on top of the carrots, adding even more flavor. And then after about an hour in the smoke, I'm going to take the carrots out, and to those I'm going to put in about a cup of veal stock, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 3 tablespoons of Steen's cane syrup, just drizzle that over top, and then 2 tablespoons of dark brown sugar. Then it goes back in the smoker under the ham until they are very, very tender. It'll probably take another 2 to 3 hours for that to happen. What you want to do, basically every time you come in to glaze the ham, give those carrots a stir, get them in the juices so they don't dry out. And like I said, just take them until they are very tender. Okay, so we're about 2 hours into this cook at about 225 degrees Fahrenheit. And let's take a look at our ham. So just as I thought, these slices would start to open up, which is what we want. And look at the juice coming out of there, if you can see that. That's nice. So I think I'm ready to make our honey glaze. Let's do that, and then we'll come back and put on our first layer. This glaze is easy to make. It's 1 cup of honey, 1/2 cup of brown sugar. That happens to be light brown sugar. 2 tablespoons of your favorite mustard. I'm using what's left of my Grey Poupon. About a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. About a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and a teaspoon of ground cloves. And then 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter. All you need to do is really let that butter melt down and the sugar dissolve, so maybe a medium-high heat, and then give it a mix, and we're ready to go and put it on the ham. All right, let's get some glaze on this ham. Just check my carrots real quick. These are looking good. Just gonna give them a little stir so they don't dry out on the top, and those will continue to smoke. And now we glaze. Just start from the top. This glaze is still hot out of the pan, so it'll run down. We'll let gravity help us out a little bit. Make sure you brush every little square inch. And now, those spots where the ham opened up, get your brush in there. Get those a nice coating. All right, back in the smoke, and I'm gonna do this every 30 minutes until we're done. So let's get this door closed, and we'll come back a couple more times and show you how it's looking. All right, it's been another 30 minutes. Let's check on these carrots. They have been taking in all those ham drippings, and they're getting there, just about fully tender. Maybe another 30 minutes on those guys. And now how about that ham? Woo! starting to get nice and dark. So I'm gonna get another coating of the glaze on there. And while I'm at it, let's get a temperature reading. I want to take this up to about 135 today. So we're sitting right around 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So we got at least a couple more hours to go. I might bump this temperature up a little bit to speed up the process, but that's your choice, your house, your rules. Let's get another coating here. And I'll just keep doing this until all the sauce is gone. Now that it's cooled a little bit, it's thickened up. All right, so I'm gonna repeat this process until we hit about 140 internal. Then we'll take it off of here and cut a piece and see how it tastes. Okay, the ham is done. It took 5 hours, so what do we do? The first 4 hours approximately were at 225 degrees Fahrenheit. Then I bumped it up to 300. I hit an internal of about 135, and I had a little bit of sauce left over at the very end that I just put on. Now, if you want, you could take this and put it in your oven, put the broiler on, and what you want to do is kind of candy coat that glaze. I'm going to do it a little bit different. I've got a blowtorch here. This is the Bernzomatic TS8000. If you were ever going to get a Searsall, you would need to get this piece first. So if you're in the market, I don't have the actual Searsall. I like this better, but it's got some serious power. We're going to fire this up. And just very lightly, we're going to come across with that flame. And we're really going to caramelize the sugars. You know, we're not going to burn it. Just going to do those outside edges. Get the top, and back. Just get it nice and even for everybody. Is really going to take it to the next level. There we go. It's looking really nice. Alright, that just took a couple seconds. Give you the 360 of how this guy looks. No trickery involved. I didn't burn the backside and hide it from you. So, it's looking good. So what we're going to do now, spin it back around. Bring it over on its side as if we were going to serve this right now. Look at that. So this bottom piece got a little crispy. That's why I called it the Pitmaster's piece right there. So this is pretty much already been sliced. You get these pieces that'll just fall off. Those giant pieces of ham. So good. So I'm going to try a piece. Let me show you those carrots. These are just pure gold. They're going to be smoky, super soft. After we parboiled them, it took probably 3 hours for those to get fork tender. Speaking of fork, I didn't bring one out. So let me just get a bite of this. Oh yeah, hot. Sweet, smoky, amazing carrots. Here we go. This is going to be awesome. I used maple wood and some oak for my cooking wood today. Homemade glaze. Here we go. Wow. It's super smoky. And this was not a pre-smoked ham. I put a good amount of smoke on there and that outer edge. Once we put that blowtorch to it, that was awesome. It tastes incredible. The carrots, give them a try. If you like carrots, you're gonna love that. So hey, if you like what we did here, hit that subscribe button and definitely check out one of those two videos right there. And I'll see you over there.